fine spirits of Madison Seminary, they warned me before I stepped foot in Madison Seminary. But I took it all as ghost hunting nonsense. Stories about haunted women's dorms, whispers in empty rooms, figures staring out from high windows. People love their ghost stories. But something about this place defied mere folklore. Something here breathed. The building was cold, though it was mid-August. Heavy clouds dimmed the sun as I stepped onto the cracked, overgrown pavement. But even the light that filtered through seemed to have trouble illuminating the stone walls that rose, worn and stoic, against inside. Time had only sharpened the building's silence. I made my way to the second floor, a section supposedly teeming with the highest level of paranormal energy. My footsteps echoed across warped wooden floors as I passed dusty classrooms in a library where every shelf stood empty. I paused outside one of the dorm rooms, curiosity gnawing at me, and finally pushed open the door. It was almost intact, as if someone had just left. The bed frame held a thin, yellowed mattress, and a wooden desk sat in the corner with a small mirror still on top. The mirror. I felt drawn to it, felt a need to look, and yet something inside me twisted in warning. Slowly, I stepped forward, feeling the air grow colder, my breath forming small clouds. And then, just as I was about to peer into the glass, I caught a glimpse not of myself, but of something behind me. A figure stood just at the edge of the doorway, only for an instant. A woman in a long dress, her face hidden in shadow. When I spun around, there was nothing, only the door slightly ajar. I laughed it off, but the laughter felt hollow in the empty halls. Even as I tried to ignore it, my mind kept returning to that instant, to that figure. Something about her felt wrong, in a way I couldn't articulate. I was being watched. The seminary wasn't empty, it was waiting. As I made my way down the staircase, my flashlight flickered, casting long shadows over the cracked walls. I thought I heard whispers, soft and urgent, coming from a room to my left. Ignoring the rising dread in my stomach, I went to investigate. But when I got there, the door was locked tight, and yet I could still hear the murmurs, like someone trapped, clawing their way out. Later, I found records of the students who had lived here, mostly young women in their early 20s. Some had been forced to stay, unable to return home due to strict families or financial ruin. Others had suffered breakdowns. One story mentioned a girl who had gone mad, who had reportedly tried to escape by jumping from a window on the top floor. Her body had never been found. They claimed she still haunted the halls, searching for a way out. On the last night, I went up to the third floor, an area known for what locals call the Quarter of the Lost. I didn't think the building could get any darker, but here the shadows were absolute, as if they absorbed every trace of light. The silence had weight, like an unseen presence pressing down on me. And then, from down the hall, came a distant voice, a woman's cry, weak, pleading, "Help me." I froze, my pulse hammering in my ears. I wanted to leave, to run, but my legs carried me forward. The corridor grew colder, the voice clearer. I called out, asking who was there, but the only answer was my echo. Then, as I reached the end of the hall, the door to the last room creaked open on its own. Inside, I saw her, an indistinct figure, huddled against the wall, her face hidden in her hands. I took a step closer, but she lifted her head, revealing empty eyes that locked onto mine. And then she moved, crawling toward me, her face frozen in silent agony, fingers clawing at the floor. I stumbled back, slamming the door shut, but the scratching continued, growing louder, more desperate. I ran, barely able to breathe, the hall stretching endlessly before me, shadows twisting along the walls. The whispers followed, mingling with a chorus of anguished cries. The building itself seemed to come alive, every room echoing with tormented voices, every corner hiding something watching, waiting. I fled Madison Seminary that night, vowing never to return. But the memories follow me, haunt me. In the quiet hours, I can still hear her voice, the pleas, the scratching at the door. They say Madison Seminary is just an empty building, but I know the truth. It's a prison, holding something far darker. It is only waiting for its next visitor to open the door.